Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we praise and honor and celebrate those who truly are making significant contributions in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful to be with you today. I want to thank Wilkes Communications, RiverStreet Productions, and 100.9 WIFM for this opportunity. My featured guest today is Bonnie Laskey. She lives in Boonville, grew up there, graduated from Lees-McRae. Spent a wonderful career with the United States government, and now is back home and is a tremendous advocate for community development, for the Yadkin Valley Heritage Corridor. And we're going to be really blessed today with some understanding about some new concepts that will make life better for all of us. So thank you for being with us, and good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to have you here.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Tell us about growing up in Boonville and how things were then.
Well, Boonville is such a charming little town, and it was my privilege to grow up there and be able to make lifelong friends and be close to family, because those family values are so important, and they still are today. Mm-hmm. And another thing, being able to come back home to Boonville has been such an honor, because all those friends I made when I was growing up, it's like we never missed a beat. Right. And that's what makes it so wonderful and such a blessing. But I did grow up in Boonville, and I went to Boonville Elementary School, then went on to Starmount High School, from Starmount to Lees-McRae. They had a medical secretary program at Lees-McRae. So I was in that program, and after a couple years, you were sent to a hospital to do an internship as a medical secretary through the different departments of a hospital. So 4 of us girls went to Riverside Hospital in Newport News, Virginia, and that's how I ended up in Tidewater, in the Tidewater area of Virginia. So once I finished that internship and graduated from Lees-McRae, I went back to Riverside, and that was my first job.
Yeah, met your husband there.
I met him a few years after that, because after I worked at Riverside for a while, I worked at the doctor's office, and then I went to work for the federal government.
Okay.
And went in as a lowly GS2 clerk typist, which I don't even think they have now. But I did meet my husband at Norfolk Naval Shipyard. Right. And worked my way up through the ranks. He got a job with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission soon after we were married. And that took him to the Washington, D.C. area, actually to Bethesda, Maryland. Right. And he made me go with him. Although I was perfectly happy in my little job at Norfolk Naval Shipyard, because I had lots of friends there. But I went, of course. Sure. And I told him I would stay 5 years. And I said, then I'm out of here, because it's a big city. Yeah. 20 years later, we're still there. But it was really good for our careers. And I did start working for the Department of Defense in Washington and at the Pentagon. Then I went to the Department of Energy. Then Richard came to the Department of Energy. Then I went to the Department of Commerce for a year, and I came back to the Department of Energy. But your retirement and your grade and that follows you wherever you go. Yes. Even if you change agencies. Right. So we both ended up at the Department of Energy, and about, after 30-year careers. I was fortunate to get an early out. I was able to retire a couple years before I was 55, which was a blessing at the time, because I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I was undergoing chemo and radiation for breast cancer, which, you know, thankfully that's old news now.
Right.
And there's life after all that.
Yeah.
So we had an opportunity to come home. I told Richard I was coming home. You can come if you want to, because he's not from here. So we bought a house, and right down the street from my mother.
Yeah.
And we've been here now, home for 12 years.
And your maiden name is Bovender.
Bovender. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My parents were Howard and Ola Mae Bovender, and my mother was postmaster in Boonville for many, many, many
Really?
years. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
She sure was.
So that fascination with Boonville, each and every day, you almost thought about going back, hoping.
I think I was homesick for 30 years. Yes, because I have small town. I have rural, you know, real rural area running in my bloodstream.
What did you enjoy most about the government? You were kind of a behind-the-scenes person that had everything together, or?
Truly, my title was program analyst.
Okay.
After I got out of the secretarial field, and I did more policy, and you know, I wasn't an IT person. I didn't write programs or anything like that. I was more of a policy and procedures person, and I was also one of those people. You know, wrote a lot of reports. I did a lot of reporting, weekly reports.
Making other people look good.
Well, and it got to be
Yeah.
one of those things where if they got a direction or something from the Secretary of Energy, and you know, it comes down through the line and stuff,
Right.
they're like, they didn't know what to do with it. They give it to Bonnie,
Sure.
and
Oh,
then
yeah.
and just let
Very valuable bond.
just let me figure it out.
Yeah.
So I would coordinate correspondence and policies and procedures through the different offices within the Office of Science. That was where I worked, the Office of Science.
So when did you come back to Boonville?
In 2006.
And then immediately decided to
Well,
become an advocate in your community?
I always said if I got an opportunity to come home, I wanted to give back.
Okay.
So
you ran for
So in
city commissioner.
2007, I was encouraged to run for commissioner for the town
Sure.
of Boonville. So I did.
Yeah.
And that's been a really good experience. So I served on the town board from 2007 to 2011. And during that time, Boonville was chosen by the North Carolina Rural Center to participate in the North Carolina Small Town Economic Prosperity Program.
Right.
It was called STEP. And it was supposed to be a 2-year program, but it wasn't, you didn't have to just be in it for 2 years, because the first year you were given a grant to do planning, economic development planning. And that's one thing that Boonville had never done,
Right.
which it's kind of like it is for some of the small rural towns.
Kind of a pervasive thing around small communities
Right.
everywhere.
Right, because Boonville has a population within the town limits of right around 1,200 people.
Right.
But the greater Boonville area, the Boonville that the post office serves, with what we used to call rural routes, Route 1 and Route 2.
Sure.
And that's another thing. When I first came home, I didn't know anybody's address because everybody had street addresses. But when I was growing up, you had lived on Route 1 or Route 2,
right.
and you just knew where people lived.
Sure.
But that greater Boonville area is around 5,000.
Okay.
So when we talk about Boonville, we have to consider that whole community, because when Boonville was thriving back in the days of manufacturing and tobacco, when the people outside of Boonville said they were going to town, they were coming to Boonville.
Right.
But then when that went away, the small towns
Sure.
didn't thrive.
Sure.
Didn't thrive as much. But anyway, I said if I got to come back. I wanted to give back. We started the STEP program.
Yeah.
We did a whole year of planning. We had a coach who led us through the process. We had a committee of people who lived in Boonville.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done anything by myself.
Right.
Never.
Teams.
Right. It's all been teams.
Sure.
And any honors or accolades or anything I've received.
We did.
We did it.
Right.
Bonnie has not done it
Right.
alone
Right.
ever.
Right.
So the first year we finished our planning, we had an have an economic development plan.
Yeah.
The next ended up being 2 years. We had grant money to implement some of the projects that we have in our plan. We developed a facade improvement grant program
Mm-hmm.
to improve some of the buildings, how they looked in
Wow.
Boonville.
Yeah.
We built a kiosk.
Yeah.
And that was a partnership with Boonville and STEP money
Mhm.
and the person who owns that property.
Yep.
That was a collaboration.
Mhm.
We learned a lot from our friends in Elkin. They had been through the first round of the STEP program, and they had partnered with, I believe, Dobson and Pilot Mountain.
Right.
And we learned from them that we could go across that river
Yeah. Good for
and,
you.
and ask for advice.
Yeah.
We got out of that stovepipe.
Yeah. Through Jonesville into Elkin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Just ask. Just ask.
Just ask.
Yes, I remember doing a presentation at one of the STEP meetings, and I ended up my presentation that there was a whole new way of doing things. There was I just called it the AFI, the AFI process. Ask for it.
Yeah. Ask
So
for it.
just ask for it.
Well,
And
so that's how you excite people, or your call to action is just to ask for it?
just ask for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
What's the worst thing that can happen? People say, somebody might say no.
Right.
Most of the time they don't.
Sure.
Because people want to help you.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
really do,
yeah.
especially if they've been down the road you're going down.
Right.
Really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So,
Bonnie Laskey is my guest today, and she's a new friend, and came to me through a suggestion from Eddie Barnes that you would be a wonderful candidate for people doing good for others, and we're glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you to Eddie. And
All right, tell us about the Yadkin Valley Heritage Quarters. Is it a good time to go there?
it is a good time to go there. I did not come into the Yadkin Valley Heritage Corridor partnership at its beginning. I came in a little bit later after it had been established.
You actually are an employee of...
I'm their project coordinator.
Yes, okay, behind the scenes.
Right,
Okay.
right. It is a 501c3 nonprofit.
Right.
It includes the counties of Caldwell, Surrey, Wilkes, and Yadkin.
Yes.
And truly they're...
What does it do? Just kind of a short description of what are we doing?
What this partnership does
Partnership.
is it combines the resources, pulls some of the resources
From those 4 counties.
from those 4 counties to promote tourism
Yes.
and preserve his history
Right.
and promote this area
Yes.
for tourists
Okay.
and people to visit us.
The structure of it. Board members. How many do
We
you
have
have?
about 15 board members. We have a chairman. Eddie Barnes is our chairman. Leslie Slender from Elkin is our vice chair. Linda Twinney from Wilkes is
And
our
this is our logo
treasurer.
here.
This is our logo.
Okay.
This is our logo. But you can see it has the Y in it and the land and our
The
weather.
Yadkin Valley there. Okay.
Right. And that's another thing that the Yadkin Valley did. They funded a signage program that using all these
Yeah.
colors.
There's one on the 268 bypass that I see quite often, and I remember when you started, and there was a nice celebration, ribbon cut in
Right.
there in Elkin.
Right. And that's the purpose of this brand, is when people visit our area, and we get a lot of people who come up from Charlotte and Raleigh, and you wouldn't believe the traffic we get from Ohio,
Yes.
because they're coming down 77. And people who come here, they do not care where county lines are.
Right.
So now when you cross a county line, or you say, welcome to Yadkin County or welcome to Surrey County, you'll see this brand.
Yeah.
So they'll know that they're still in the corridor, and they'll still be greeted and
Sure.
by the same friendly people
Yeah.
that they've seen in the county before them.
You also said that part of your budget is to match grants. I thought that was so important.
We have a small budget, and our funding comes from, we apply for grants every now and then. But really our funding comes from the local tourism development authorities, the chambers, and local governments. And we have a small budget, but we're very financially astute.
Sure.
When we spend money, we don't just go crazy. We put it back into something that's going to promote the region.
Yeah, it's like brochures.
Like brochures. But we do have a small amount set aside for grant matching funds. Trails,
Right.
trails are such,
So ever needed matches.
right, and it's such a big thing now.
Sure.
And they're still being worked on. They're still being developed. So you may have Caldwell County Pathways, and they may be developing another portion of their trail, and they're going to apply for a grant, but they may need some help with their match.
Sure.
So we've set aside some they can ask us to help them with their match for a bigger grant.
Right.
So you see how it
Kind of parlay that money.
right,
Yeah, sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we do it fairly across all counties.
Sure.
We're excited about the partnerships
Yeah.
that we've developed. Yeah.
All right.
We meet
Go ahead.
about every other month for an hour or two, and we rotate our sites. We rotate our locations. We'll meet in Yadkin one month, and the next meeting will be in Surrey, and the next meeting will be in Wilkes, and the next meeting will be in Caldwell.
Right.
We rotate,
Sure.
and then
It's bi-monthly.
right,
Okay.
and everybody gets to travel
Yeah.
to the different areas, and while you're there, if we meet from 10 to 12, well, you might want to have lunch
Sure.
right here at this
Yeah.
little restaurant.
Yeah.
So there again, you're helping their economy,
Yeah.
and that's really
you brought a
what
brochure for me?
I did.
Let me
I
see what
did.
we're investing.
This is our Yadkin
Okay.
Valley Heritage Corridor brochure.
All right.
And it will give you, it has a big map in it, and it will tell you just about everything you need to know and where it is, as far as wineries and trails and things to do on the river and historic sites. It's just full of information. Of course, there's our website
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's one thing the Yadkin Valley Heritage Corridor did. We developed a website, and it's goyadkinvalley.com.
Right.
We have a good Facebook presence, which is like us on Facebook, Go Yadkin Valley, and on Twitter. I spend time daily
Daily.
updating and sharing what's going on across the region on Facebook, and somehow that automatically gets tweeted. I don't know how that works, but it does.
Okay.
So I do that every day.
Every day.
Yeah, that's one of my jobs, because
Posting. That's what we call posting, too. That's
Mhm,
what we
yeah.
do.
Right, right.
Okay.
Share it and share it and post it. Share it and post
You
it.
have a great video. Tell us about that.
Last year, that was
John Laskey.
John Laskey. Oh my goodness, he's so wonderful. We funded a new video to promote the Yadkin Valley, and it has, I believe it's 6 different little segments. And it's just fabulous. I was going to see what I had said about those segments. Trails, farm to table,
Farm to table.
the heritage sites,
Right.
the wineries, the breweries, the distilleries. It covers all of those, and it's on our website. It's on our Facebook page,
Right.
and it is so well done. So well
What is
done.
it? Does it have a title, or is it just the?
No, I don't.
Does it just have the Yadkin Valley Heritage Quarter?
Right, you'll see
video?
it. You'll see it just as soon as you go on Facebook.
Okay.
It's probably one of the first things that will pop up, and you can watch the whole thing, or you can watch the little
Sure.
portions that you're interested in. But that video is shown at the visitor centers.
Mm-hmm.
Is at the various chambers, and once we gave it to them, then they shared it.
Sure.
To their municipalities, to their communities. So it's out there, and it has been one of the best things that the
for
Heritage
you.
Corridor has done. I think what that did is we talk about the Yadkin Valley Heritage Corridor,
Yeah.
and we tell you, what it's about. It's a regional, it's promoting tourism in the region. But once you see this video, you really see,
Get a feel for it.
you really see what is available.
Right.
They're, wonderful. It's a wonderful video about activities on the river.
Yeah.
And that's really where the whole Yadkin Valley Heritage Corridor started. It started with the river.
Right.
Because the river, the Yadkin River,
Right.
runs through Caldwell, down through Wilkes, Surrey, and Yadkin.
Okay.
And that's where you follow the line
Okay.
through those 4 counties.
Well, thank you for that,
Yes.
Bonnie. And I'm glad that that board has the wonderful things you can contribute to. I'm sure you're certainly an enhancing part of the success of the Yadkin Valley Heritage Corridor.
Well, I am passionate about it.
Sure.
I am passionate about the whole collaboration between the 4 counties.
Crossing the county line,
Crossing those county lines.
cities, towns, yeah,
And
come together.
my job for to the board is to kind of remind them what they need to be doing.
Sure.
Kind of poke them.
Yeah, yeah. Keep them on task.
Right,
Yeah.
because they are all volunteers.
Sure.
They all have regular full-time jobs.
Right.
And when they come to these meetings a couple hours every other month, that's on them.
Right.
That's taking them away. So you also have to, thank their bosses
Yeah.
for allowing them to participate.
For reminding them how important this is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because the more tourists you have coming to the area, the more visitors, they spend the night. They're, adding to
And
your.
the more they know, the longer they'll stay.
They'll stay.
Right.
Oh, and there are events galore. I mean,
Sure.
think about Merle Fest.
Oh, yeah.
And this weekend, there's the Yadkin Summer Whites event, and you buy a ticket and you go around to the various wineries on Saturday and Sunday, and you sip some wine, and they pair some food with it,
Right.
and with your ticket. And then there's Harvest Festivals coming up.
Sure.
Faith Fest
Yeah.
is coming up
Yeah.
here. I believe it this weekend.
is.
This
It
weekend
is.
in
It is.
Wilkes.
Yeah.
And there's just something to do all the time
Right.
across these counties. There's Fort Defiance in
Yeah.
Caldwell. And the Patterson School in Caldwell is so interesting. I mean, you could just spend days and days and days. You could you could come up to the Yadkin Valley for a long weekend and start in one county and spend the whole day,
Right.
and go to the next county and spend the whole day. I mean, you can't do it in a day.
Sure.
So you can spend days, or you can spend the night,
Yeah.
and then you can come back and do it again.
Yeah. You certainly have an enthusiastic, uplifting spirit about the importance of it, and I'm glad that
Well,
you're with the quarter.
If you have people visiting your area, and you have them spending some money,
Yeah,
that's going to increase your tax base. And if you increase your tax base, then you're going to have additional funds
sure.
to put back into your community.
Right.
And that's how towns like Boonville and Wilkesboro and North Wilkesboro and Elkin have been able to revitalize their downtown
have.
areas.
Certainly have been able to enhance opportunities for people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bonnie,
Absolutely.
let's go back to Boonville, and I want to talk about your administrator.
Oh,
And,
our Sarah.
Yeah, our Sarah.
Our Sarah.
Yeah.
Yes. After we
Her last name?
Harris.
Sarah
Sarah
Harris,
Harris.
and just a very vital person. I've met her. She's impressive.
She is. She's so dynamic.
Yeah.
She is so dynamic, and she has been in Boonville now, I think maybe 3 years, because she interned with us. And I was thinking back about how we were able to get her as an intern. After Boonville completed its STEP program, there was a management advisor program that we were chosen for, the town of Boonville. And we shared a management MPA student from Appalachian with Dobson and Boonville and East Bend. We shared one. So after that program finished, that was about 18 months, we had this relationship with Appalachian.
All right.
And Sarah is from Mount Airy, and they're required to do internships. So we talked to their MPA director, and that's how we got Sarah to begin with. But she, having her master's in public administration, and after we finished the STEP program and these other programs that we were lucky enough to be chosen for, we still lacked the knowledge that we needed on how to do some things.
Right.
We knew what we needed to do. We had plan, but I'm a big advocate of don't put the plan on the shelf. I want to implement the plan.
Right. Yeah. If
But
we're going to plan, let's do it.
But I don't have the knowledge about the how-to.
Right.
And that's what Sarah really has brought to
Wow.
Boonville.
What a
She
compliment.
knows the how-tos. She has been instrumental in policies that we never thought we needed, plans we didn't know we needed.
Right.
She hadn't even really started to work for us yet. And we had our spring event that we called the Boonville Bash. And it was just looking grim. And the girl came in and she turned that event around in a week.
Really?
In a week, yes. We have hot rods and food trucks
Yeah.
every third.
I want to go to Christmas. Somebody
Christmas!
told me that the Christmas
told you
parade.
that? Who told
is,
you that?
Who told me that?
Well, I'll tell you what.
I
tell
heard
you what.
it's this traffic jam. So
I'll
many
tell you
people
what,
there. Is that right?
What Commissioner Kevin Austin said the first time we did that.
Yeah.
We do it in the evening, around 5 o'clock. So we have a twilight parade.
Yeah.
We have a twilight Christmas. So as the sun is going down and the parade starts, as you come, as the fire department and the sheriff and the honor guard get to the crossroads, get to the corner, we turn on all the Christmas lights, and it's kind of like a Rockwell painting. It's
Oh my goodness, Bonnie.
It's kind of like a Rockwell
Well, you
moment.
paint some beautiful pictures.
because and people line the streets, of course, and there's cars and there's bands and there's anybody who wants to ride in that parade, and they're tossing out candy, and the children are running to catch it, and it's over quickly.
Yeah.
But there's music and caroling, and and Santa is there taking pictures before the event. It's just really, it's really hometown. It really just warms your soul. It warms
We're
your heart.
almost to the end of this wonderful sharing that you brought to us today. Thank you so much.
Oh, my
I want to thank
goodness.
Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet Productions for this opportunity that I have in my life. And share with us, you're such a vibrant person who's energetic and has a lot of enthusiasm. Where you are today, just tell us the happiness that you share with your family and your boom.
I would like to thank you for having me. And I would like to thank these nice folks too, because this is something I hadn't done before, and now I'm excited. I'm really
Well,
excited.
thank you for being here.
I'm really
and,
excited. I think that
the Yadkin Valley Heritage Quarter, we've learned about it, and what small communities can do when we is not about I, right?
that is exactly right. And I would really encourage everybody, if you
Get
want to
involved.
Right. If you want to learn more about the Yadkin Valley Heritage Quarter, visit our website at goyadkinvalley.com. Go to our Facebook page at Go Yadkin Valley.
And see that video.
And watch that video. Oh my goodness, you'll be making your plans
Thanks for
tomorrow.
honoring us, my friend. And I hope you'll come again.
I
Bonnie
will.
Laskey.
Thank you.
y'all. And she shared her experience, strength, and hope, and we've had a great moment together, and see you next time. Thank you.